Hello, dear DSC candidates. Welcome back to my Grammar for Success channel. I am Koresh Babu, a retired lecturer in English from Hyderabad. In this video, I am going to explain all about the content and the methodology questions given in the model question paper 2. I therefore request all of you to watch this video till the end without skipping it in the middle. I also request all of you to consider subscribing to my channel and also sharing this video with all your friends who are also going to take the DSC examination along with you very shortly. Thank you so much. Now let's get into the video. Content. In this video, I am going to explain all about the content questions and also about the methodology questions. Okay, and first of all, let us look at the content questions. 91st question, in where the mind is without fear, what does the poet primarily seek for his country? What is he seeking for his country? What are the options given here? Prosperity. He is not seeking for prosperity, religious freedom, and industrial development. So, Tagore is not seeking for his country prosperity, religious freedom, and industrial development, but he is seeking only freedom of thought and expression for his country. So, therefore, this is only your correct answer. Now you move to the next question, 92nd question. The cloud in Shelley's poem is portrayed as, how is this cloud in Shelley's poem portrayed or described? Means, here you pay attention, a messenger of doom, no. A bringer of death, no. A passive observer of nature, no. But what? This cloud is portrayed as a spirit of transformation and renewal. So it changes the face of the earth from dryness to greenery and all that. It renews life. It renews the life of the plants, trees, and it renews the life of everything that has life on the face of this planet. Okay, and therefore it is a spirit of transformation and renewal. Okay, that is how this cloud has been portrayed in this poem, the cloud. Okay, and now you move on to other questions. 93rd question. According to Emerson, in the nation's strength, true strength lies in where? A strong army? No. A strong army cannot make a nation strong. Economic power cannot make the nation strong. Scientific advancement cannot make the nation strong. But what is that which makes the nation strong? Means only the people having good character. If the people have good character, that country can become very powerful and very strong. Okay, and only with the people having good character, a country can become strong and powerful. So that is the message this R.W. Emerson conveys through his poem, The Nation's Strength. You know very well about it. And you move on to the next question. In palanquin bearers, the bearers express what? What do they express? Sympathy for the bride? No. They don't express any sympathy for the bride. And anger at exploitation? No. A mixture of joy and sorrow? No. But what do they express? They express pride in their job. So this is your answer. They are expressing pride in their job. So in rendering that job, in discharging that job, they are feeling very proud because they are carrying a delicate bride in the palanquin to the in-laws home. From her parents' home, she is now going to in-laws home. Now they are carrying her to that in-laws home, and they are feeling very proud about their job, about their profession, and that's why this is only the right option. Now you move on to other questions. 95th question. Frost's The Road Not Taken emphasizes. What does it emphasize? Regret over wrong choices? No. The importance of following tradition? No. The supernatural intervention? No. But in this poem, The Road Not Taken, Robert Frost is emphasizing the unpredictability of life decisions. Life decisions are really unpredictable. You don't know what they are going to bring to you, whether they are going to bring to you good luck or bad luck. You yourself do not know that. That's why life decisions are unpredictable. You cannot guess them. You cannot predict them. So that's why that is the point this Robert Frost is emphasizing in this poem, The Road Not Taken. And now you move on to the next question, 96th question. In Wordsworth's A Slumber Did My Spirit Seal, the mood shifts to where? Here you pay attention. Hope? No. The mood is not shifted to hope. Rage means anger. It is not shifted to rage. Indifference, disinterest. Okay, but it is shifted to melancholy. Melancholy means what? Sorrow. Or melancholy means sadness. Melancholy means grief. So the mood of the poet is shifted to melancholy, grief, sorrow, sadness, and all that. So that's why this B is the right option, right answer. Now you move on to other questions. 97th question. Oli Soyinka's telephone conversation criticizes urban chaos? No. Racial prejudice? Yes. Religious dogma? No. Government corruption? No. So in this telephone conversation, the poet Oli Soyinka is criticizing the racial prejudice. Racial prejudice means showing racial discrimination is called racial prejudice. So prejudice means, already I have told you about that, wrong opinion. In Telugu, Durabhiprayamu, bias. So he's criticizing the racial prejudice of the whites. Okay, in the western countries, the whites have this kind of racial prejudice, and he is criticizing that racial prejudice in this beautiful poem. And now you move on to the next question. In the Night of the Scorpion, the mother's reaction to her suffering shows. What does it show? Here you pay attention. Resentment? No. Her suffering is not showing resentment. Her suffering is not showing superstition. Her suffering is not showing a blind faith, but it is showing maternal sacrifice. It is showing maternal sacrifice. And you know very well, this mother says, oh God, you have spared my children and you have made the scorpion sting me. ఓ భగవంతుడా, నా పిల్లలను రక్షించి నన్ను మాత్రమే తేలు చేత కలిచేటట్టుగా చేశావు, నా పిల్లలను కరవకుండా కాపాడావు, థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్ అంటూ షీ ఈస్ షోయింగ్ హర్ మెటర్నల్ సాక్రిఫైస్. దట్ ఈస్ హర్ సాక్రిఫైస్. She is showing tremendous love towards her children. That is only the greatness of a mother. So here also the mother is showing her maternal sacrifice. Now you move on to other questions. 99th question. Bacon's of studies suggests that reading makes men witty. Yes, reading makes men witty. Men means here human beings witty. Humble? No. Generous? No. Honest? No. So reading, if you read books, they don't make you humble. Humble means meek, వినయము కలిగిన వారిగా చెయ్యవు. అండ్ జనరస్, ఉదార బుద్ధి గల వారిగా, లిబరల్ పీపుల్ గా చెయ్యవు. అండ్ ఆనెస్ట్, నిజాయితీ గల వారిగా చెయ్యం. సో దట్ మీన్స్ నో, ద రీడింగ్ ఆఫ్ బుక్స్ డస్ నాట్ మేక్ యూ హంబుల్, జనరస్ అండ్ ఆనెస్ట్, బట్ ఇట్ విల్ మేక్ యూ ఓన్లీ విట్టి. విట్టి మీన్స్ చమత్కారమైన. That means intelligent or clever and all that. So here, this through this essay of studies, Bacon suggests that reading makes men witty. Now you go to the next question. 100th question. Emerson's self-reliance promotes. What does this self-reliance promote? And here you pay attention. Group consensus? No. Social norms? No. Isolationism? No. But individualism. It promotes individualism. That means, everybody should believe in his own individuality or individualism. And you know very well, this individualism means, I have already told you in that essay, self-reliance. What does Emerson mean by individualism? Means, it is the conception, it is the concept that all values, all duties, all rights will originate in the individuals themselves. మరి వ్యక్తులలో నుంచే ఆ వాల్యూస్, రైట్స్, డ్యూటీస్ అనేటటువంటివి ఆవిర్భవిస్తాయి, బయటికి వస్తాయి అనేటటువంటి ఆ సిద్ధాంతాన్ని, ఆ కాన్సెప్ట్ను, దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ ఇండివిజువలిజం అంటూ ఐ టాట్ యూ ఇన్ దిస్ ఎస్సే. అండ్ ఇండివిజువలిజం ఆల్సో మీన్స్ బిలీవింగ్ వన్స్ ఓన్ ఇండివిజువాలిటీ. తన వ్యక్తిత్వం ఎందు తనే నమ్మక కలిగి ఉండాలి. యూ మస్ట్ బిలీవ్ ఇన్ యువర్ ఓన్ ఇండివిజువాలిటీ. యూ మస్ట్ మెయింటైన్ యువర్ ఓన్ ఇండివిజువాలిటీ. యూ షుడ్ నాట్ బో డౌన్ బిఫోర్ అదర్స్. You should maintain your own dignity, your own individuality. So that is all about that individualism. So about this individualism, I just taught you in this video I have made on self-reliance, and you know very well. And now let's move on to other questions. 101st question. A.J. Gardiner's On Shaking Hands humorously explores cultural manners. Yes, he is exploring cultural manners. Different you can say cultures have different manners in greeting others. According to Indian culture, we just greet others with folded hands like this, and in Japan and in China, the people will be saying like this. This is their culture. And in Russia, they will give a kiss on the cheek of the other person. And in the Arab countries, they will simply push like this, say like this. So like this, there's a kind of you can say greeting. And in the Western countries, shake a hand. So these are all the different cultures. And in the European countries also, there is some kind of culture, just touching the cheek with another's cheek. So this cheek with another's cheek, so that's a kind of culture. So in this way, cultural manners, and he is humorously in this essay exploring the cultural manners, not germophobia, not political greetings, not gender roles. So this is only your answer. Now you move on to the next question. 102nd question. In what makes a nation? See, Rajagopalachari emphasizes what? Technology? No. Geographical boundaries? No. Political power? No. But he is emphasizing shared values and ideals. That means, the people of this country, this India, should share their values, their cultures, their manners, their traditions, their customs with one another. People should share their values with one another, with each other, and all such things. That's why he emphasizes what? Shared values and ideals. Now you move on to other questions. 103rd question. Animal Farm uses animals to satirize what? Capitalism? No. British monarchy? No. Feudalism? No. Only Soviet communism. You know very well, George Orwell, the writer of this novel Animal Farm, criticizes in this novel only Soviet communism. And you know that very well. You move on to the next question. 104th question. The character of Napoleon in Animal Farm is a representation of, and this character which George Orwell created in this Animal Farm is a representation of who? Is a representation of Karl Marx? No. Adolf Hitler? No. Joseph Stalin? Yes. Leon Trotsky? No. So here this Napoleon is the representation of this Joseph Stalin, who ruled that Soviet Union very oppressively, very authoritatively at that time. Joseph Stalin is the right answer. Now you move on to other questions. Under the 5th question, R.K. Narayan, Swami and Friends is set in, that story is set in or located in Bangalore? No. In Madras? No. In Delhi? No. Only in Malgudi, that you know very well. And you move on to the next question. 106th question. The central theme of Swami and Friends is, what is the central theme of the Swami and Friends? Poverty? No. Political revolution? No. Childhood and growing up? So that is the central theme. And industrialization is also not the right one. So poverty, political revolution, industrialization, these are not the correct options. Only childhood and growing up is the correct option, and that is only the central theme of Swami and Friends. Now you move on to other questions. 107th question. In 12th Night, Viola disguises herself as Olivia? No. Fest? No. Sebastian? No. Only as Cesario. So Viola disguises herself as Cesario, a young man. You know that very well. Now you move on to the next question. The comic subplot of 12th Night involves. So there is some comic subplot in that 12th Night, and you know very well, Maria plays some kind of you can say comedy with Malvolio, the steward of this Olivia. You know that very well, and all that thing you know very well. I don't want to tell you all about that story now. So here the comic subplot of 12th Night involves political rebellion? No. A duel of magic? No. Cesario's kidnapping? No. Malvolio's mistaken identity. And you know very well, this Maria writes a fake letter to Malvolio saying that it was written by Olivia herself, and then this Malvolio, according to the letter, wears the yellow stockings and all that, and this Olivia looks at this Malvolio and thinks that he has gone mad, and she asks the others to keep him in the room locked up. So that is a comic subplot. So it creates some kind of humor in that drama, that is 12th Night, and therefore here this malvoliously mistaken identity is only the comic subplot. So that involves the malvoliously mistaken identity. Now you go to other questions. 109th question. Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest is a satire on science and technology, no. Romantic tragedy, no. Political ideologies, no. But it is a satire on Victorian social conventions. So there were so many Victorian social conventions. So this is not the time for me to tell you all about them. So in that story itself, I think I have told you all those things. So there are so many Victorian social conventions. So that is therefore this importance of being earnest. This drama is what a kind of satire on the Victorian social conventions. Okay, now you move on to the next question. The double life of Jock Warthing symbolizes. What does the double life of Jock Warthing symbolize mean? Psychological trauma? No. Rebellion? No. Fantasy? No. But only hypocrisy in society. And hypocrisy means some kind of false appearance in the society. So that hypocrisy in society, the double life of Jock Warthing symbolizes only hypocrisy in society. Now you go to other questions. 111th question. In the bet, the lawyer's final decision proves the value of experience? No. The importance of money? No. The cruelty of prison? No. But what does it prove? The lawyer's decision proves that knowledge leads to disillusionment. You know very well, this lawyer, after reading so many books, and extensively, he becomes, very much disillusioned with this material wealth, material world, and all that. And therefore, he has renounced the prize money. He has also left the what is that solitary confinement even before winning that prize and all that. So here he becomes very much disillusioned. He loses interest in this world. He loses interest in this human life. He thinks it is vain. This human life is in vain and meaningless and all that. So because he becomes totally disillusioned after undergoing solitary confinement for about 15 years, and that is the final decision of this lawyer. You know that very well. And here you go to the next question. The banker in the bet fears. What does he fear? Legal punishment? No. Religious judgment? No. Social disgrace? No. But bankruptcy. If at all the lawyer wins the game, wins the bet, he has to lose 2 million rubles and he has to pay 2 million rubles to that lawyer. And if he pays that much amount to that lawyer, he will definitely become bankrupt. And therefore, he is in fear of becoming bankrupt. And that is only the fear of this banker. And you move on to the other questions. 113th question. In engine trouble, the elephant symbolizes. So in the engine trouble, what happened, the person will win not only the road roller, but also other items like elephant. And this elephant symbolizes what? And here you pay attention. Religious fervor? No. Government support? No. Lost wealth? No. But unwanted responsibility. You know very well. And elephant is nothing but an unwanted responsibility. It's a big responsibility. Feeding an elephant is really a cumbersome task for anybody. And that's why, the protagonist of that story thinks that it is an unwanted responsibility on his shoulders. Okay, and that is only your answer. All others are not the right ones. Okay, and here you pay attention. 114th question. The tone of engine trouble is how? What is that tone of the engine trouble? Tragic? No. Sentimental? No. Didactic? No. But it is ironic. You know that very well. Now you go to other questions. 115th question. In after 20 years, the irony lies in. Irony means, very well. Okay. Expected thing is different from the actual thing. Okay. And here, the honesty of both friends. No. A police officer being the criminal. No. Both friends dying. No. The twist of one friend arresting the other. Okay. Not two friends are there, Bob and Jimmy Wells. So this Bob becomes a wanted criminal, whereas this Jimmy Wells becomes a police officer. But this Jimmy Wells doesn't arrest his friend Bob, but he makes him arrested by another friend of Jimmy Wells. That is only there. The twist of one friend arresting the other. So this is only the irony of this story after 20 years of H.G. Wells. And here you pay attention. 116th question. Jimmy Wells actions reflect? What do they reflect? Betrayal? No. Yes. Loyal to the law? Yes. Cowardice? No. Hypocrisy? No. So this Jimmy Wells was very loyal to the law, and therefore he did not arrest his friend himself, but he got him arrested by another friend of this Jimmy Wells. So he was in that way, he was showing his loyalty to the law. That is that. Now you move on to other questions. 117th question. In The Thief by Ruskin Bond, the narrator learns that honesty pays. No. That theft brings success. No. That society is cruel. No. But that love reforms. You know very well. He thinks that through his love, through his trust in that boy who is a thief, he can change him. He thought he could change him. And therefore, he learns that only through love he can reform that thief. And he thinks strongly that only love can reform that thief into a good boy or a good man. That is there. And you go to the next question, 118th question. The story The Thief is narrated in third person? No. Second person? No. Omniscient voice? No. But in the first person. That means, if you read this story, everything is in the first person only. I. So that means, the entire story is narrated only in the first person. So that point you have to understand. So the story is narrated in the first person. Now you move on to the last set of questions in this content part. 119th question. In Off Studies, Bacon classifies books to be, he has classified the books into different types. Eaten, drunk and cooked? No. Shared and quoted? No. Loved and lost? No. But chewed and digested. He says that one should read the books and in such a way that he should chew them and he should digest them. That means, he must swallow the books. That means the entire matter of that book must be grasped, or that must be swallowed. ఆ పుస్తకంలో విషయాలన్నింటినీ మనము తిని నవ్వులి మింగేసేయాలి, జీర్ణం చేసుకోవాలి. దట్ మీన్స్ యూ మస్ట్ లర్న్ ఆల్ ద థింగ్స్ దట్ ఆర్ దేర్ ఇన్ దట్ బుక్. దట్ ఈస్ ద మీనింగ్ ఆఫ్ దట్. ఆ పుస్తకాలలోని విషయాలన్నిటి క్షుణ్ణంగా మనసులోకి తీసుకోవడమే. దట్ ఈస్ నథింగ్ బట్ చూవింగ్ అండ్ డైజెస్టింగ్. నమిలి తినేసేయాలి, నమిలి జీర్ణం చేసుకోవాలి. దట్ ఈస్ ద మీనింగ్ ఆఫ్ దిస్, అండ్ దేర్ ఫోర్ దిస్ ఈస్ ఓన్లీ ద రైట్ ఆన్సర్. ఆల్ అదర్స్ ఆర్ రాంగ్. అండ్ యూ గో టు ద లాస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ పార్ట్. ఎమర్సన్ బిలీవ్స్ సొసైటీ కన్స్పైర్స్ అగెయిన్స్ట్ whom? Love? No. Freedom? No. Religious faith? No. But manhood of every one of its members. This society is conspiring against each and every person of this society. So that is what he tells us in this self-reliance written by Emerson. Okay. With this, the questions on content will come to an end. Now, let us move on to solve the questions given on methodology. Methodology, model question paper 2. 121st question, which is an example of a formative assessment. So yesterday in the video I promised that I would give you some idea about this formative assessment, and accordingly now I am going to give you some idea about this formative assessment. And already you have some idea about this. In spite of that, I am giving you some small idea here. And formative assessment is an ongoing process. It is an ongoing process and used during learning. When is it used? During learning. Why is it used during learning? Means to monitor the students' progress and to provide feedback. That point is there. And another point is there. This formative assessment will help the teacher know where the student is weak and where the student is backward, where the student needs improvement. So whether he is progressing or regressing, that information will be given to the teacher through this formative assessment. It's an important assessment. And as against this formative assessment, there is another kind of assessment that is called summative assessment. All of you know very well summative assessment. Summative assessment means it is conducted at the end of what? At the end of a learning unit. At the end of a learning unit. And why is it conducted at the end of a learning unit? Means to evaluate the overall student progress, to evaluate the overall student learning and all that. And this is very important. So in this way, there are two kinds of assessments: formative assessment, okay, and summative assessment. And here this formative assessment is also called by another name. What is that? Assessment, okay, assessment for learning. This is called assessment for learning. That means this assessment is done for learning, and therefore formative assessment is called assessment for learning, whereas the summative assessment is there. This is called what? Assessment of learning. This is of learning means after learning something, some test is conducted. Assessment for learning means what? During learning only this assessment is done. A formative assessment is done during learning, and here this is after learning. After learning, please keep this point in our mind. Summative assessment is called assessment of learning because it is done after learning. Okay, and this formative assessment is called assessment for learning because it is done during learning. So these are the two things you learn from this first question. And now let's move on to look at the options of this question. What are the options given here? Annual exam, no, it is a summative assessment. Board exam, summative assessment. Final project, summative assessment. Annual exam, board examination, final project, these are all summative assessments. And only this weekly quiz is there. This is only the formative assessment. Therefore your answer is weekly quiz, right? And you move on to the next question. 122nd, the main focus of communicative language teaching is on syntax mastery, no. Translation ability, no. Memorizing vocabulary, no. But real life communication. So this communicative language teaching aims only at real life communication. That's very, very important. And you move on to other questions. 123rd question. Listening skill improves best when learners take dictation, no. Write essays, no. Speak in monologue, no. But engage in listening to real conversations. So whenever you listen to real life conversations, automatically your listening skills will improve tremendously. Okay, now you move on to the next question. 124th question. The direct method excludes. Excludes means, in other words, avoids. What does it avoid? Here you pay attention. Oral work, yes. It no, it doesn't avoid it. Use of target language doesn't avoid it. Speaking activities, no, it doesn't avoid, but it avoids only use of mother tongue. So therefore this B is only your answer. Now you move on to other questions. 125th question. Teaching aids help in creating confusion, no. Making teaching boring, no. Replacing the teacher, no. But enhancing understanding. This is the thing which teaching aids help in. Okay, and you move on to the next question. Phonetics is the study of, again this question is given in this question paper also. Word meanings, no. Grammar rules, no. Language origin, no. But sounds of human speech. All of you know pretty well about this phonetics. So phonetics will always teach you about the sounds of human speech. Now you move on to other questions. 127th question. Which skill is generally taught first in language learning? Writing? No. Reading? No. Speaking? No. Only listening. You know very well, when the little kids go to school for the first time, they are not taught speaking or writing or reading, but they are taught only listening. So simply the teacher will be teaching them some rhymes, the teacher will be teaching them some stories and all that. So the children, the kids will start listening to the stories, rhymes and all such interesting things from the teachers. So therefore this is only the first skill generally taught to them. You move on to the next question. 128th question. Language structures are best learned through, here you pay attention. Memorization, no. Picture reading, no. Poetry reading, no. But structural drills, only through structural drills only the students can pick up the language structures in the best possible manner, right? Now you move on to other questions. 129th question. Which approach is student centered and activity based? Grammar translation, no. Structural approach, no. Bilingual method, no. But student centered and activity based approach is only the communicative approach. So this is only your right answer, right? Now you move on to the next question. The process of breaking curriculum into teachable units is called what? So here you pay attention. Evaluation, no. Syllabus framing, no. Objective writing, no. But lesson planning. So when this curriculum is broken into teachable units, that is called the lesson planning. Okay, and that's why the C is the right answer. Now you move on to other questions. 131st question. Which of the following is not a principle of teaching English? What is that which is not a principle of teaching? Here you pay attention. Proceed from known to unknown. No, this is a principle of teaching. Proceed from simple to complex. Yes, this is a principle of teaching. Proceed from oral to written. This is a principle of teaching. But emphasize memory over meaning. That means, even without meaning, some children or some students will be mugging up the words, mugging up the meanings of the words. So that is really bad. So that's when emphasizing memory over meaning. This is not the principle of teaching. అర్థం తెలిసినా తెలియకపోయినా బట్టి పట్టండి, నేర్చుకోండి, మెమరైజ్ చేయండి. సో అని చెప్పేది దట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ద ప్రిన్సిపల్ ఆఫ్ టీచింగ్ ఆఫ్ ఇంగ్లీష్. దేర్ ఫోర్ సో దిస్ ఈజ్ ఓన్లీ యువర్ ఆన్సర్. ఆల్ అదర్స్ ఆర్ నాట్ ద రైట్ వన్స్. అండ్ యూ మూవ్ ఆన్ టు ద నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్. 132nd question. Teaching material should be, how should the teaching materials be? Outdated? No. Unrelated to context? No. Difficult to understand? No. But relevant and contextual. This is very important. The teaching materials must be relevant and contextual. Then only the teaching materials will be very helpful and useful for the children, for the students. Okay, now you move on to other questions. 133rd question. The role of phonemic awareness is important in, okay, grammar learning? No. Listening comprehension? No. Vocabulary expansion? No. But only reading fluency. Okay, the role of phonemic awareness. You know very well about these phonemes. Okay, these phonemes. Phonemes means what? The smallest units of sounds in a language. Okay, for example, this cat is there. Yesterday I gave you the same example. So in this cat, ka, that is a phoneme. Ya, that is a phoneme. Ta, that is a phoneme. Cat, in this word cat, there are three phonemes, three small sounds, and these small sounds of language are called phonemes. And if you have the phonemic awareness, that means when you know which letter gives which sound, automatically you can read the matter very fluently, very easily. So therefore this phonemic awareness is important in reading fluently. ఈ ఫోనిమ్స్ తెలిస్తే సౌండ్స్ తెలుస్తాయి, సౌండ్స్ తెలిస్తే ఆటోమేటికల్లీ దే విల్ బి ఆఫ్ గ్రేట్ హెల్ప్ ఫర్ రీడింగ్, and automatically you will have fluent reading and all that. Okay, and you go to the next question. 134th question. Minimal pairs are used to teach. So minimal pairs, you know very well. Here, sentence structures, grammar rules, and pronunciation differences. Yes. Vocabulary list, no. So here minimal pairs are there. For example, bat is there and mat is there. So these are the minimal pairs. This is ba, this is ma. So the ba, phonetic transcription, ma. So here only because of this sound, this sound only, these two words are becoming separate and different. ఈ ఒక్క సౌండ్ తోనే అవి రెండు డిఫరెంట్ మాటలుగా మారడం లేదా? సో వెన్ యూ నో దీస్ మినిమల్ పెయిర్స్, వాట్ హ్యాపన్స్ నో, దట్ విల్ హెల్ప్ యూ ఎ లాట్ ఇన్ ప్రొనౌన్సియేషన్ డిఫరెన్సెస్. సో హియర్ ద ప్రొనౌన్సియేషన్ డిఫరెన్సెస్ యూ కెన్ ఈజీలీ ఫైండ్. దిస్ ఇస్ బ్యాట్, దిస్ ఇస్ మ్యాట్. ఓకే, అండ్ హియర్ యూ పే అటెన్షన్. షిప్, షీప్. దిస్ ఇస్ షీ, దిస్ ఇస్ షీ. So if you know this difference, automatically you can understand the correct pronunciation of the word. So in this way, these minimal pairs are used to teach pronunciation differences. So therefore, this is only your right answer. All others are wrong. Now you move on to other questions. 135th question. In a typical lesson plan, the final section should include what? In a typical lesson plan, what must be included in the final section? Materials used? No. Introduction? No. Homework duration? No. But only follow-up and assessment that will be included in the final section of the typical lesson plan. So after writing all the lesson plan, in the last pages, this follow-up work or assessment will be written. Okay, right. And you go to the next question. A textbook is a part of, what is this textbook? This textbook is a part of evaluation? No. Curriculum? No. Testing tools? No. But it is a part of teaching aids, and therefore teaching aids is your answer. And now you move on to other questions. 137th question. In remedial teaching, the goal is to, what is the goal of remedial teaching? Speed up all learners equally? No. Teach advanced grammar? No. Test students repeatedly? No. But help struggling learners catch up. So this is only the end and aim of this remedial teaching, the main objective of this remedial teaching. You know that very well. And now you move on to the next question. Pronunciation is most effectively taught using. How is this pronunciation taught effectively? How means here are given some options. Printed charts, no. Grammar books, no. Literary text, no. But audio and visual drills. Only through these audio and visual drills, this pronunciation can be taught very effectively. Okay, and now you move on to other questions. 139th question. One major goal of teaching vocabulary is to. What is the goal of teaching vocabulary? Memorize word lists? No. Build dictionary skills? No. Write long essays? No. But the goal of teaching vocabulary is to enhance comprehension and expression. If you have a lot of vocabulary at your command, automatically what happens now, you can understand any passage or any matter that you can read, and also you can also make use of that vocabulary to express yourself freely. That means one should have a lot of vocabulary at his command so that he can understand the written matters, or he can express himself freely and fearlessly. So for these two purposes, this vocabulary is very, very important. So that is the major goal of teaching vocabulary, right? You go to the next question. Which of these is not a component of communicative competence? So communicative competence, that means spoken English, okay, spoken language, grammatical competence, this is the component of communicative competence. Therefore this is wrong. But here he is asking you not a component. So strategic competence, this is also a component of communicative competence. Therefore this is not the right one. Translation competence, this is not a component of communicative competence. And this discourse competence, so this is also a component of communicative competence. So grammatical competence, strategic competence, discourse competence, these three are the components of communicative competence. But this translation competence is not the component of communicative competence. So that point is there. Therefore these three are wrong, only this one is the right one. And now you move on to other questions. 141st question. A good language teacher should focus only on grammar? No. Avoid using teaching aids? No. Punish wrong answers? No. Adapt methods based on learners' needs. That is the job of a good language teacher. If you want to be called a good language teacher, you must adapt methods that are based on learner needs. So that is the job of a good language teacher. And now you move on to the next question. 142nd question. The stress in phonetics refers to. So what does this stress in phonetics refer to? Let us look at the given options. Anxiety in speaking? No. Intonation? No. The speed of speech? No. But emphasis on a syllable. So this stress in phonetics refers only to emphasis on syllable. So in the morning, in the second question paper, I have given you a word like inspiration. Inspiration, all of you know very well. So whenever you want to give the stress to some word, you must cut the word into syllables. Inspiration. So there are 4 syllables in this, and inspiration. Whenever the word ends in ION, you can say the stress is placed immediately before this suffix, and therefore the stress is on this. Inspiration, examination, determination. So therefore this third syllable receives the stress. So this is how the stress in phonetics functions. Okay, if you simply say inspiration, that doesn't give beauty to the English language. You must say inspiration. When you say inspiration, mother, father, so when you stress the words and you can say speak out, then what happens now? Your English language looks to be very beautiful and very engaging and all that. That's why stress in phonetics refers only to emphasis on a syllable. Okay, right. Now you move on to other questions. 143rd question. Lesson objective should be. So the lesson will have some objectives. Okay, what is going to be taught through that lesson? What are its objectives? So generally the lesson will have some objectives, and the objective should be what? Vague and general? No. Only for teachers? No. ignored in practice? No. But the lesson objectives must be measurable and clear. That means there must be authentic, perfect and clear, and then only the students will also try to achieve those objectives. Okay, and you go to the next question, 144th question. Which material is not suitable for language teaching? It is not suitable for language teaching. What is that material which is not suitable for language teaching? Means here flashcards it is suitable, videos suitable, grammar books is suitable, but non-verbal music, that is not suitable. Non-verbal means no words at all in that music. So does it help this language teaching in any manner? In any way? No. That's why this is not suitable for language teaching. This is not fit for language teaching. Now you move on to other questions. 145th question. Which of the following is not a receptive language skills? Yesterday, that means in the first video itself, in the first question paper only, I have explained all about the receptive language skills and the productive language skills. Now you can easily answer this question. These are the options, and here not a receptive language skill. So here listening is a receptive skill, reading is a receptive skill, but understanding is a receptive skill almost, and writing is not the receptive skill, but it is a productive skill. You know that very well, and therefore your answer is this one. Okay, not that one. Okay, you move on to the next question. The syllabus that focuses on themes and topics. What is that syllabus that focuses on themes and topics is called? Okay, structural syllabus, no. Functional syllabus, no. Situational syllabus, no. But a thematic syllabus, that is called the thematic syllabus. Now you move on to other questions. 147th question. Which technique promotes pair work and group work? Which technique promotes this pair work and group work? Means here you pay attention. Lecture method, no. Dictation, no. Grammar communicative method, no. But grammar drills, only during the grammar drills what happens now, there will be some pair work. Pair work means two students will be exchanging dialogues and all that. That's called pair work. Group work means 1 2 3 4 5 students, something like that. So through this technique only, pair work and group work is promoted. Okay, and you move on to the next question. 148th question. The importance of curriculum is that it okay, what is the importance of curriculum? It confuses teachers, no. It restricts learning, no. It replaces textbooks, no. But it gives a direction to teach. Curriculum, if there is perfect curriculum, what does it do? It gives a direction to teaching, what to teach, what not to teach. So all such things are directed for the teachers. Therefore, it gives a direction to teaching. So this is the correct answer. Now you move on to other questions. 149th question. A diagnostic test is used to. Diagnostic means testing, where rank students, no. Promote students, no. Grade final exams, no. But identify learning gaps. This is that. This diagnostic test tells the teacher where the students are missing, where the students are lagging behind in studies. చదువుల్లో ఎక్కడ వాళ్ళు వెనకబడుతున్నారు అనేది ఈ డయాగ్నోస్టిక్ టెస్ట్ ద్వారా తెలిసిపోతుంది. సో దేర్ఫోర్ ఐడెంటిఫై, దిస్ డయాగ్నోస్టిక్ టెస్ట్ ఐడెంటిఫైస్ లెర్నింగ్ గ్యాప్స్. ఓకే, అండ్ యూ గో టు ద 150th question. Teaching English vocabulary through pictures is called. So if vocabulary is taught through pictures, it is called what? Yes, audiolingual. Okay, no. Semantic mapping, no. Structural mapping, no. But visual method. Visual means visual. You can see that word. You can see that picture of that, some boy jumping into the river. So the picture of the boy jumping into the river will be given. So through pictures, some vocabulary is taught. So that is a beautiful this thing, and that method is called visual method. So that is there. And now you move on to other questions. 151st question. Reading aloud helps improve what? Pronunciation and fluency. The very first one is the right one. So every day for about 10 to 15 minutes, you keep reading some passage, whatever may be the passage, whether you know its meaning or not. You please read it fluent, every day. Automatically what happens, your pronunciation will improve, and also your fluency will also increase. So these two things will, pronunciation improves and fluency increases, and these two things will improve. Even I did so. I will, even today also I read some passages so that my tongue will become twisted for various new words and technological words and all that. So therefore for about 10 minutes, I shall be reading out some English news or English paper or something, because my tongue must become twisted to those words. అలా నోరెత్తి చదివితే, అందుకే చిన్నప్పుడు మనకు రీడింగ్ పెట్టేవాళ్ళు, చదివితే మనకు నోరు తిరుగుతుంది, మనకు మాటలు పలుకొస్తుంది అలా చెప్పి, తొత్తరబోడాలు అట్లాంటివి ఏమి ఉండవు, రైట్. అండ్ దట్స్ వై రీడింగ్ అలౌడ్ హెల్ప్స్ ఇంప్రూవ్ ప్రొనౌన్సియేషన్ అండ్ ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్సీ, రైట్. వొకాబులరీ ఓన్లీ, సైలెంట్ రీడింగ్ ఓన్లీ, grammar no. And you go to the next question, 152nd question. Which skill is generally considered most difficult for learners? So this is a controversial question actually, and the different students feel in different way, because the most difficult and challenging skill, language skill for the most of the students is only writing. So this skill of writing is very difficult and very challenging for most of the students, and they cannot write proper sentences in English. So that's why writing is the first one, and at the same time speaking is also there. For most of the students, writing is the most difficult one. For some of the students, speaking is also difficult. For you, you can speak some English if you try. So somehow you can speak, but you may not be able to speak correct English and grammatically correct English and all that. But whatever it is, but you can speak. But that's why this writing is the most difficult language skill, and speaking is the second language skill. And in the question paper, I think I have mentioned the speaking only, because for the majority of the students in India, speaking English becomes very difficult. Of course, they may try to write something, okay, but writing is also a difficult thing for them. So anyway, this is the first difficult thing, this is the second difficult thing. So in between them you choose, okay. And but in the key I have given you the speaking. I think if you want to change it, you can rectify this one, right. And here you look at the options. Listening, no. Speaking, yes. Reading, no. Writing. So these two things are the options, or right things. You choose this one first, this one second, right. And now you move on to other questions. 153rd question. Role play helps develop grammar, no. Vocabulary memorization, no. Writing format, no. But interactive speaking skills. So this role play, okay, role play means 2 persons or 3 persons will be enacting some conversation. So that is called a role play. So through role play, interactive speaking skills will develop considerably, right. And you move on to the next question, 154th question. Assessment for learning is also called, okay, assessment for learning means formative. Assessment of learning is called summative. Just now I have told you about this, and here you pay attention. Summative assessment, no. Diagnostic test, no. Formative assessment. At the beginning itself I have told you about this, okay. Assessment for learning is formative assessment. Assessment of learning means summative assessment. Keep those two things in mind. And here, end semester exam, no. So this is there. Now you move on to other questions. 155th question. Grammar translation method relies heavily on. What does it depend on? Rely means depend. Depend heavily on what? Real life communication, no. Dramatization, no. Conversation practice, no. But it depends largely on mother tongue use, and therefore your answer is only this. You go to the next question, 156th question. The purpose of teaching phonetics. What is the purpose of teaching phonetics? Is to improve what? Reading speed, no. Spelling accuracy, no. Listening to lectures, no. But pronunciation and speech clarity. If you know the phonetics thoroughly well, that will definitely improve what? Your pronunciation and also your speech clarity. Your speech will be very clear, your pronunciation will be very clear, and the other person will be able to understand you very easily, okay. Otherwise, if your pronunciation is not clear, automatically the other person will not understand you, and that's why this phonetics will improve your pronunciation and speech clarity, right. Now you move on to other questions. 157th question. Peer correction is used. Peer correction. Peer means, first try to understand this word peer. Peer means an equal. Who is the equal to a student? His friend. His friend is his equal. That means, valuation of the answer paper by his friend. That means another student is called, that is peer correction. Students say okari paper కరెక్షన్ చేసుకుంటే దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ peer correction. Okay, peer correction is used to what? Encourage competition, no. And reduce teacher workload, no. Create fear in class, no. Promote learner responsibility. So if these two persons are there, two students are there, and this student is valuing the answer sheet of this student, and this student is valuing the answer sheet of this is called reciprocal. When that is the king, it will promote the responsibility. He will value the paper very carefully. He will value the paper very carefully, because ultimately the teacher will go through that valuation, and that's why the students will have some kind of responsibility, and that's why they promote the students responsibility. Learner responsibility means student responsibility. So that is the purpose of this peer correction, right? You move on to the next question, 158th question. Group activities are useful because group activities are useful. Why? It is because waste time, okay, no. Promote passive learning, no. Cause discipline problems, no. But to develop a communication cooperation. Because of these group activities, what happens now among the students, communication will be developed and cooperation will also be developed. పిల్లల మధ్య ఈ గ్రూప్ యాక్టివిటీస్ ఉంటే వాళ్ళ మధ్య కమ్యూనికేషన్ డెవలప్ అవుతుంది, కోఆపరేషన్ డెవలప్ అవుతుంది. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ద టూ అడ్వాంటేజెస్ విత్ దిస్ గ్రూప్ యాక్టివిటీస్. సో నౌ యూ మూవ్ ఆన్ టు ద లాస్ట్ సెట్ ఆఫ్ క్వశ్చన్స్. 159th question. Skimming is a reading technique used for. Why do you use this skimming? Skimming is used for reading every word, no. Reading aloud, no. Memorizing facts, no. But getting general idea quickly. For this purpose, the skimming is used. Therefore, this is your answer. Now you go to the last question of this section, 160th question. An important feature of communicative tasks is, what is the important feature of the communicative tasks? Here you pay attention. Grammar focused questions, no. Written translation, no. Dictation, no. But meaningful interaction. So the important feature of communicative task is meaningful interaction. So interaction will be meaningful between the students, between the teacher and the students. So interaction between the students will be very meaningful, and that is only the important feature of communicative tasks. And with this, the questions on methodology will come to an end. Hello, dear DSC candidates. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have still any more problems in understanding any of the questions that I have dealt with in this video, please make a mention of it in the comment section. You can also bring to my notice some involuntarily made mistakes by me. So you please bring them to my notice also. Thank you so much. With a beautiful video on grammar and vocabulary, I shall be back to you. Until then, bye. See you, all of you.